I would love to ride. Whoa. No, cut that. Never mind. No.
But you don't want to you don't want to travel across.
It'd be funny to ride on a bus painted like the American flag with a picture of brown Lex Luger on the side of it.
Why'd you throw in unnecessary adjectives into it? He was a tan gentleman. Fake
that's what
tan,
I mean. That's what I meant.
Clearly.
I can't say brown like that. I don't mean it like that. I mean he was fake tan. He was fake tan.
If you're gonna serve wings or ranch, I don't want to do business with you. I get up and leave, even if I don't get the wings. It's either blue cheese or wings, and no fuck wings.
That's right, never mind who you thought it was. This is the Buffalluminati Podcast, your keeper of Buffalo's secrets. We got a great episode for you today, but first, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm your host, Jake, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jeff.
That's right, my brother. Like I always say, real G's move in silence like lasagna. And I hope we got some delicious lasagna on the menu today. On the menu today.
Remix.
Because I'm a lasagna guy.
Right, well, this story does have a little bit of layers, Jeff, because today we're talking about some of your favorite things, and mine too. We're talking Buffalo. We're talking football. And we're talking wrestling. So...
we love that.
So, this is a fun episode. For those that aren't wrestling inclined, which I know is a vast majority of people out there, it is WrestleMania weekend. For those of you that celebrate, happy WrestleMania. I think there's another holiday too, but, Oh, it's also 420. There's 3 holidays. Trifecta.
Jesus. What's going on this week? I don't have where are we going to find the time? Right, WrestleMania is in like 9 hours each.
Right,
night.
It's 2 nights now.
It's 18 hours. I can't even have dinner with my family.
Well, Jeff, before we get into all those festivities, let's dive into today's topic. And it's also going to be the start of what I think is going to be a new series for us called Who the Hell Is?
I like it.
And it's going to be all about Buffalo people that you might not know are from Buffalo, or you might not know why they're famous, or, how they represent the 716. But as the keeper of Buffalo's secrets, it's our job to figure that out. For our first person in this series, who the hell is Lex Luger?
Lex Luger's a lot of things.
The total package, the narcissist,
and that's Flexi Lexi. Okay, not to be confused with Lex Luthor.
That's true. Yes, not
Superman's arch enemy.
He's not from Buffalo.
Picture like John Cena, but taller
and tanner,
and way tanner.
All right, so let's dive right into the life and times of Lex Luger. I personally remember him. I didn't see this live, but just wrestling as a kid, you see all the clips go around. And for me, it's the clip of him lifting up Yokozuna and doing the slam at WrestleMania. Like, that's the picture I have in my head when someone says Lex Luger. And
you mean Hulk Hogan wasn't the only one to be slamming people like that?
No. Look at the two of them. They're ginormous. And I don't even mean their opponents. I mean them themselves. They're just like...
Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger? Oh, for sure.
Their opponents were ginormous in other ways. It was Andre the Giant and Yokozuna, two of the largest wrestlers to ever wrestle, in their own ways. But that being said, there was so much more to him than just that one moment. And it starts right here in Buffalo, New York. Lawrence Wendell
Right
Fole, better known by his in-ring name as Lex Luger. Born in Buffalo, New York in 1958. He attended Orchard Park High School, which leads me to believe he probably grew up in the South Towns, specifically Orchard Park. And the first thing I found really interesting, Jeff, is, he started off in football. And I thought, it was for some reason, and I knew he was in football before he was in. For some reason, I thought he was a Buffalo Bill, and I think I just got it confused that he was from Buffalo and he played football.
That was Monty Brown, the alpha male, Monty Brown.
Played for the Bills.
From TNA. He was a wrestler in TNA. Yeah, he played for the Bills.
Yeah,
for a little bit.
And then we just had this, not this coming preseason, but last preseason we had Gable Steveson, who was on WWE, let go, and then he was on the tryout squad for a while, but he never made the cut.
Didn't make it.
I like Lex Luger, so maybe there's we'll see similar paths.
I honestly thought, based on his build and kind of the people he was paired with back in the day, that he was like a Sting or like a Ultimate Warrior who were bodybuilders
right
coming in. So I didn't even know he played football, and all the interesting facts about his football career that we learned until we started really digging in and researching him.
Right.
I've never been the biggest Lex Luger
and honestly
fan.
in 1978 he played for the Miami Hurricanes, but that's not even like getting to play on such a prestigious college team is in and of itself a great thing, but
The Rock played there.
Rock did play there. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for those of you that aren't familiar. And I don't know how you couldn't
for
be.
those of you who don't know The Rock. For those of you living under The Rock that don't know The Rock.
We're all living under The Rock. It's The Rock's world. We're just living in it.
That's true.
He's just selling us stuff on the internet every day.
Every day.
Yeah, but so Luger played for the Miami Hurricanes with Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly. So the Buffalo connection is strong here. Like that's an interesting connection that I did not know about, and maybe that's also why I got why some of that confusion was like, oh, he was a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, probably because he played with.
Well,
Jim Kelly.
didn't, but maybe that's just what I heard in passing.
Well,
I don't know what I don't know.
We're supposed to know all the secrets.
Well, we're learning, and we learn some more secrets. And every time we find out new secrets, we always share them with the people.
We're learning.
Because we're the keeper of Buffalo
That's right.
secrets.
We're the keeper of Buffalo secrets for a very short period, and then we release them to the world.
Well, no, that's why we're the keepers. We're the place that you can come to for the secrets.
Come get these secrets.
Yeah, don't tell us your secrets if you don't want them out, because we'll yeah. The people need to know. The good neighbors need to know what's going on. The neighbors need to know what's going on with Lex Luger. And we keep getting off topic. Crazy. But then he got kicked off the team for off-the-field incidents, a.k.a. trashed a hotel room.
I mean, listen. Is that what that is?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I'm not the biggest Lex Luger fan, and that doesn't mean I don't like him. Because I enjoyed watching him. Growing up, I got to see him WCW Thunder at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo in 1998. But, he's just never been my favorite wrestler, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, everything I learn about the guy, it's it's always not the best.
That is an unfortunate byproduct that I think we've seen here. And even as wrestling fans,
I mean, we already know some
hear
stuff,
behind.
which a lot of people dislike him for already.
And I mean, that kind of shows because it even says he trashed the hotel room partially because he wasn't named a starter. And
right, which is not, that's not a Buffalo attitude.
Yeah, it's not
right
very
there.
neighborly of you.
Also, the roids may have played a role.
We may never know unless we watch all the interviews that we've watched. And
Wow.
yeah,
Well.
football he played in the CFL for the Montreal Alouettes for a couple of years, and then he signed with the Green Bay Packers. Got hurt in the preseason, the 1982 preseason, missed the entire season, came back the next year, and didn't make the cut. And that's when he moves on to wrestling.
Right, that's when he moved over to wrestling, obviously after his failed college football, NFL, USFL. I don't think we mentioned that. He also played in the USFL briefly. Yeah. While that league briefly existed.
I don't think that he was skilled out of that league. I think that league just ended his career for him without a choice. Because the league ended.
Yeah. The league ended. Certain people ran that league into the ground. And then, like you said, though, he had a great wrestling career. That is, the evidence of that is showing this weekend, WrestleMania weekend. He's getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Obviously, great honor. We're all hoping his buddy Sting is there to induct him, and it's a really good feel-good moment and everything. So that's huge. I mean, we got a Buffalo native going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't know how many of those there are, if any, at the moment. I don't think Mark Merrow's in there. Mark Merrow, shout out, Buffalo wrestler.
That's right. We'll cover him in the Who the Hell series eventually, I'm sure.
Who the hell is Mark Merrow? Well, let me tell you something, brother.
We're on Lex Luger today, Jeff.
Let me tell you something, brother. Lex Luger. So from NWA all the way up to WWF and TNA, Lex Luger's been around the wrestling ring, and he's been torture-racking the people. Torture-racking his foes into submission.
That's right. And, I mean, he's worked with some huge names from,
ranging from
Hulk Hogan and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. You said Sting earlier. Yokozuna I mentioned earlier. Ron Simmons he worked with both in USFL and WCW. Ric Flair.
Wow.
Jeff Jarrett and AJ Styles.
Macho
Man. Just
literally everybody.
He really did get the whole career really quickly. And it really got off the ground, I would say, a lot faster than his football career did.
Well, yeah. But, and not to knock him, but back then, the size for a lot of these guys was all you needed. He definitely had it. He wasn't the strongest on the mic, but he had a great career.
Right.
And a lot of great title reigns. I don't know if he ever held the WCW title, but...
yes, he was the United States champion.
Well... the U.S. championship. I meant the big gold, the big gold world heavyweight. Look at here. Where's his accolades? 5-time NWA WCW United States champion, a 2-time WCW World Heavyweight champion, a 1-time WWA World Heavyweight champion, and he holds the record for consecutive and total days as the NWA WCW US champion, to go back to that first one I said. And then he's the second Triple Crown champion in WCW, which means he had the world, the United States, and probably either the tag title or the television title. Not necessarily all at the same time.
All right, so he is a highly decorated and now WWE Hall of Fame wrestler. Like we said,
I don't know if you understand how much they give the belts to the same guys.
They do be doing that.
So just for him to have that many belts, he's one of the most highly decorated. He's got to be in the top 50, maybe 100.
Okay.
It's not funny. We're respecting Lex Luger.
Oh, absolutely.
But he did never win it. He did never win the WWF championship or a championship at all in the WWF, which is a shame. Not that I believe that that's, where the only titles that matter, because I certainly don't. WCW was where it was at back in the day.
The NWA was the foundation of what, wrestling is back in the territory days.
That's right. It's, what, it should be mentioned, I mean, my man had a bus. The Lex Express. He was touring the country. Painted red, white, and blue.
I gotta find a picture of
just
that.
Like his fancy tights. He, and that's where we hear some of those stories about, like, maybe he wasn't the nicest. He'd be getting off the Lex Express and not being the nicest guy. But you know what? He's traveling across the country in a bus. That kind of sucks. I'd be pretty cranky too. Get away from me, kid. I don't want to sign your autograph. I've been cooped in a bus for 18 hours. It makes a lot
more sense now.
I would love to ride. Whoa. No, cut that. Never mind. No.
Well, you don't want to do you don't want to travel across.
It'd be funny to ride on a bus painted like the American flag with a picture of brown Lex Luger on the side of it.
He's throwing unnecessary adjectives into it. He was a tan gentleman.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant.
Clearly,
I can't say brown like that. I don't mean it like that. I mean he was fake tan.
All right, Jeff. So I think we've haphazardly covered his career, his life, his times. There's not a whole lot to be said about his actual time in Buffalo because it really was just his youth, and what more can be said other than high school football. But that being said, who the hell is Lex Luger, to wrap this up?
Well, Lex Luger is a highly decorated Hall of Fame professional wrestler whom at one point in his career drove cross country to be rude to people in a bus painted like the American flag. In short.
Okay.
But, we love him because he's from Buffalo and because he had a heck of a career.
And he's not completely a monster,
no, I mean, we're playing it up.
Yeah, I think it's more of a fame thing. When fame gets...
And we didn't even talk about Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, I figured we'd just let that alone.
Okay, well, that's why people don't like him. For the most part. And then you look into him and you see all the other little stories. But, I mean, I think he deserves the Hall of Fame. I also think there were a lot of guys back in the day who were not the best. And they all seemed to have some kind of edge because they all felt like they should have been the guy. And they weren't. And they were butthurt about it. And that's okay.
You have so many thoughts on wrestling. I knew when I opened you up to this, I was like, we're going to go in a lot of directions.
I mean, we need to just do a wrestling podcast, I guess. I don't know.
I do agree that he is highly decorated. We'll stay away from some of the more controversial parts of his career out of respect not only for him, but the other parties involved, because
right. If you know, you know, and if you don't, go look it up. I don't know.
Because it's just such a messy situation, and it's an episode in and of itself.
Right. Like, I feel like just making that like a footnote is not.
Right. I don't feel like we could do it justice I want to acknowledge that we are acknowledging that we are just passing.
Yeah. And we just need to, and I mean, like I said, we were having fun. We were joking around about, the stories and stuff. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
nobody cares about that today.
Right. No one cares that he trashed a
guys
hotel
are
room when he was a college kid, because that's something that college kids do. Like,
Right. And nobody cares that he was rude to kids. It's going to sound like I care because I keep saying it. But nobody cares that he was rude to kids getting off his American flag painted bus.
in fairness, that's kind of what you do when you're a heel. Not that was he a heel at that time? I don't even know.
Not at the All-American.
That's
No.
true. You know what?
He's supposed to be a good guy, but he was cranky, and I
Right.
respect it. As somebody who's cranky all the time.
Fair enough.
But I'm saying, it's nobody cares about
Right.
that, is my point. Because it's been decades, and what's more important, I guess, at this point is his decorated career, and this weekend,
The Hall of
obviously,
Fame induction. Exactly.
the next accomplishment to be added
Right.
to that.
And even I said at the top of the show, my memory of Lex Luger is not him being mean to kids on a bus. Mine is him wrestling Yokozuna. But
I wasn't there.
I feel like you were the way you're talking about it.
So when I was at
gonna
the
say,
HSBC Arena in 1990,
He still had the Lex Express. It was a little rusted out at the time.
I just wanted an autograph. He said, "F you, kid." No, I don't know. I didn't approach Lex Luger as a child.
He didn't approach me as a child either.
I needed to be
clear.
Before somebody
Yeah.
clips that.
So WGRZ did this article about it. Obviously, being a local celebrity, he deserves the coverage. Here's what I didn't know. We didn't really cover this, but since I believe they said like 2014, he's been confined to a wheelchair with spinal infarction. And it's hard to see as a wrestling fan to see someone that was, like the pictures we showed where he's just a shit brick house, roids or not, he's still putting the work in to keep that, and
Oh, yeah.
obviously
Yeah, which most people are not
Yeah.
doing.
most people are not lifting a 550-pound Samoan. Just, yeah. At least I'm not.
Yokozuna wasn't Japanese.
I'm sorry. Yes, he was. Yes.
What the hell?
He's being inducted by longtime friend, WWE Hall of Fame wrestler Diamond Dallas Page, our personal yoga instructor, Jeff.
That's right. Shout out.
Which is really great. And I have seen videos on the DDP yoga page of him doing workouts with Lex. And recently he's been actually standing out of the wheelchair. There was like a video of them on a balcony and he was like leaning on the balcony. They were watching the sunset. It was really sweet. So it's great to see that, like, yeah, he's still putting that work in just so that he can, be healthier.
So he can stand at the Hall of Fame.
Right. That's going to be great if we see that. And obviously great to see a Buffalonian make it in. Yeah, I think that about says it all. And I think that's going to wrap up this episode of the Buffalluminati and the first in the Who the Hell Is series. Congratulations to Lex Luger. Happy Easter. Happy WrestleMania weekend. Happy 420. Whichever holiday you're celebrating in the spring equinox. I don't know when that is, but here we are. If you're celebrating
No way you
the
can
pink
do all
moon,
three.
the blood moon, the blue moon, no moon, full moon, whatever you're celebrating, enjoy the weekend. Hopefully it's nice.
Main moon.
And while you're doing that, make sure you're a good neighbor today. This has been the Buffalluminati Podcast. I'm Jake. He's Jeff. We'll see you.